Hey everybody, hello once again. It is The Drive with Brandon R. Washington. I truly appreciate you being here with me today for another weekly installment of this wonderful show where you and I and all of us will share all of the wonderful things that have happened to us during the week. We can talk about those things that you'd like to talk about. You're welcome to bring any of those questions, ideas, or any topics that you'd like to discuss to the show. You can suggest afterwards. If you catch the video and you're not watching live, you can always suggest. Please remember that we are just testing out a few different formats and a few different styles to see what we can do, because I'm going to try to do this same thing on YouTube after this, complete with graphics and cutaways and references to everything that I'm talking about. And this is basically a good opportunity for me to try it out, see what's best, try to see if there's any formats that work well for the show, and also to fine-tune a few things. So I appreciate you being here with me. You may notice that I am not driving today. Again, just like yesterday, my son was sick yesterday, but I'm also on intake at work, so the time schedule is a little bit off. So I will be doing the drive from the comfort of my living room all week. So I hope that I'll try to switch it up a few times so we get a few different angles of other things. Hey Mandy and Yoroko, good to see you. Today's topic is going to be how you deal with adversity. Now I want to talk a little bit about some of those common stressors. We'll talk about some of those common things that people use to deal with stress. And I also want to hear a little bit about what you have used to de-stress. So all of the folks who are on right now, I want you guys to start thinking about some of those things that you commonly use to de-stress in your own lives. Share those with us so we can see if anybody else watching now or watching later uses some of those same techniques. And then hopefully what we can do is we can eventually start to compile a list, especially if we start the regular show, where we can put some references down there in the comments and just try to point people in the right direction. Because if you have something that works for you in your life, I want you to be able to share that thing that worked for you with other people. That's one of those common tenets of social work, and one of the other sort of the areas that I really care about is finding different ways to take those common things that you do in your life and translate it over so somebody else can find some kind of value or relief from that same thing. That's really what social work and just being a good human is pretty much about. Translating your experiences so that others can benefit from not having to go through it, or they can benefit from learning from what you learned in it. So let's talk about some of those common stressors that affect all of us in our regular lives. Whether we're talking about stress that's derived from a terrible boss at work, or perhaps it's family stress that's getting to you, or perhaps you're not quite at the area in life where you want to be, and you are a bit stressed out because you haven't reached those levels that you thought you would be at. And so maybe it's a little bit about perception. It may be about goal setting. Some of those things may be causing you a little bit of stress. Maybe you're a younger person who is just about to join high school or college, and you are stressed about making it in. That was one of those other topics that we talked about this week. We talked a little bit about the college admission scandal and what you would do for your children. So if you have any of those common stressors, I encourage you to go ahead and put some of those common stressors into the comment box so that we can begin talking about a few of those things. Now, I bring up this topic because, even in my own personal life, I deal with stress quite a bit. Stress from work. Of course, stress from children. I got a sick kid this week, so that has been extremely stressful. Balancing work and time off and making sure that they're safe. All of those things can sometimes get in the, I don't want to say get in the way because they're responsibilities, but those things can sometimes get in the way of the normal routine that you set for yourself. And as we know, most people are creatures of habit. So sometimes when those small things keep getting in the way of that normal routine that you have, it can lead to great amounts of stress. And it may not be one big major thing that's stressing you. It might just be something small. But I want to remind everybody that stress is kind of like a bucket or a cup, okay? So even if you do something that's slightly unstressful for a little while, it may take a little bit out of that cup, but that cup is constantly filling. And it's one of those things that you literally have to manage to make sure that you are not being stressed out too much, so that you can maintain a good work-life balance, or just a happy balance between de-stressing and making sure that you are still on track to get back into that pattern that you like. Hopefully it's a healthy pattern, of course, but a pattern nonetheless. All right? So with me, I had been facing a little bit of stress at work, and also I've been facing a little bit of stress, of course, from all of those responsibilities from being a good dad and meeting the criteria of what society says is a good dad, or what you're supposed to be doing for your children. And I noticed that a lot of the techniques that I had learned while I was working on my MSW, or working towards licensure in social work, a lot of those tools and tips that I would give to other people, I wasn't using in my own life. And it's easy to prescribe direction to other people, but it's even harder to make sure that that same direction that you're prescribing to other people is direction that you're taking yourself to. Now, I've learned a few techniques. One in particular that I like is mindfulness. It's been one of those things that really helps me to stay in the moment and to look at whatever situation is in front of me and try to add some kind of context to it, so that it can decrease a bit of the stress, and I can help myself to realize that I've probably been in that situation before, and that the problem isn't that tough that I can't get through it. So sometimes with mindfulness, I would take a situation, and with all of the hectic things that were happening around, and the things that were contributing to that stress, I just take a moment to be mindful of the things that I have in my life, and the positive support that I have from family members or friends. And I would think about some of those outlets that I have as well, like making these wonderful videos, or doing creative outlets, getting out the exercise, and then realizing that there are lots of people who don't have those same opportunities, and lots of people that would love to be able to do some of those same things. And then just kind of adding a bit of perspective, and then making sure that that perspective encapsulates the real experiences that I'm actually having, not what the stress is telling me is actually happening. Because I'm not sure if you guys have noticed that when you're stressed, your perception of other people and the things that people are doing to you, it can be a bit skewed. We all have these internal defenses that are constantly trying to make sure that we are safe and keeping ourselves in a safe place, and that we're not repeating past mistakes. Those are those memories, those are those fears that you may have. And that's one of those major components of PTSD. You've had a major traumatic event, and your body does not want you to go through that same trauma. It's like a defense system. Hey, I've done this, it's bad, I don't want to do it again. I'll kind of date myself, but I'm not sure if you guys remember Lost in Space with the big old crazy robot with the weird arms. Danger, Will Robinson! Danger, Will Robinson! That's what your body is telling you, because of all those stressors. So, sometimes whenever, again, with mindfulness and some of those other techniques that are out there, it gives you an opportunity to kind of see the forest for the trees, Because most of you, of course, you all know that common phrase of, I couldn't see the forest because of the trees. It helps you to step back a bit, put things into context, and really get a better view of the things that are happening to you, and try to find ways to get a real understanding of the perspective of what's really happening. Because again, when you are under stress, And with all these things coming at you from all these different angles, it's hard to understand what is really happening to you, or if that is just a symptom of that stress. Is this something that you have control of? Perhaps being mindful and taking a moment to look at that situation, step back from it, add a little bit of context. That'll give you enough time to be able to set some kind of plan up or to put some things into place that can help you to deal with that stress. Now, one of the other things that I like to do when it's not just mindfulness, one of the things that I like to do is to do a bit of breathing techniques. I like those breathing techniques because they give me an opportunity to try to control a bit of what my body is doing. If I slow down, I found that if I slow down my breathing and I try to be a bit more mindful, it can help me to stop the extra cortisol release. And my brother Aaron Washington just said what's up. He is watching. I tried to add you. I hope you will jump on in and we can have a good conversation about some of the things that you have used to de-stress. All of those folks that are out there, Aaron Washington is my brother, my favorite brother. Don't have any other ones, so he has to be my favorite brother. He's been going through an amazing transition where he just lost a whole lot of weight. And I don't know if some of that weight loss was due to stress, but I doubt it. He put himself into a really good routine and a really good diet and was able to lose a lot of weight. That happens to be one of those other things that can really help to de-stress people if you're not carrying around all that extra weight. And of course, there's always that extra feeling of, and of course, it might make you feel better about how you look in the mirror. I'm not sure if you've seen Aaron's six-pack, but if you need to see some washboard abs, or if you've run out of change and you need to scrub some clothes, go see him and go see those abs. Go check out his page. So again, one of those things that I really like to do, other than mindfulness, one of those techniques is breathing. And it's pretty amazing what concentration, breathing, and just being in the moment can do to you. So I would love if anybody else has some techniques that they use for stress or de-stressing, that if you want to share that in the comment box, that would be great. I'd appreciate that. Now, sometimes it helps to put some of these things into context. Again, I keep talking about this mindfulness and looking at the situation that you're in. Have you ever been in a situation where you perceived it one way and you were dead set on those perceptions that you had, but those perceptions didn't turn out to be true? Was it the stress? Was it your own understanding of yourself or the idea of yourself? Because I bring this up not only to highlight the topic of stress, but also to highlight the topic of our own personal image of who we are and what we do, and especially at work in those situations where you could run into a stressful situation. When was the last good time that you sat down and did a personal assessment of your skills, of your talents, of some of the things that may be your detriments, some of the things that may not? When was the last time that you sat down and did an inventory of all of the things that you wish that you could change or need improvement? Not a lot of us do that. Sometimes a lot of us will get one thing stuck in your head and you'll use that thing to beat yourself up. But I'm not talking about seeking out something that you've done wrong. What I'm talking about is sitting down and taking a real assessment of what you are and who you are, and getting a good understanding of who you are yourself. There's a lot of us that don't quite know who we are, and so we chase trends and we follow other people. And we let other people's ideas of who they believe we are influence who we are. And that can cause a lot of stress of you trying to fit some other image of what other people have told you you are, or your talents, or your skills, or what you're not doing. How influenced are you from other people's ideas about who you are? It's a good question. I really want you to think about it. I want you to stop for a moment and think to yourself, have I set this image of who I am? Or have other people set that image? And am I simply supporting that image that they've set with me with evidence of what they have told me to be? So I really want you to take a quick moment and think about when you were growing up. Are you the person that your parents intended for you to be, or the things that they told you, or did you kind of diverge off of that path? Did you want to diverge off of that path? Was that the right path for you? Was that simply a good foundation so that you could figure out who you were? And did you figure out who you were? Because it's a real question that a lot of us don't think about. I know for me, there's a lot of time that I spent in the military, and that experience that I spent there colored my entire experience outside of the military. And I couldn't think of myself without connecting myself to those experiences and to those memories and to the connections and the people. And I started to realize that I was pretty amiable whenever I got into the military, and I let a lot of those influences, and I would consider most of those good influences, dictate who I was going to be both while I was in and additionally while I was out, and kind of set that agenda. But I started to realize that a lot of the ideas and the agendas that were set weren't really my agenda. They were things that I thought I needed to follow along with, and I thought that I had to do to reach certain pinnacles or to be accepted. And I started to realize that a lot of those ideas and a lot of those opinions that I had weren't my opinions. They were opinions of other people. And so I didn't just magically come to that conclusion. In 2011, I had a minor TBI because and a TBI is a traumatic brain injury. I got a concussion from being jumped, broken nose, broken jaw. Was in a medically induced coma for like a day, two. I say it like it's just nothing. But whenever I left that, I found that a lot of my memories and a lot of the ideas that I had before weren't still the same memories and ideas, and I found it hard to judge what was real and what was fake. And so it left me with quite a dilemma of not really knowing if the person that I was seeing in the mirror was a real representation of who I really was. And so from 2011 and moving forward, even to the present, I've been trying to find ways to make sure that the person that I display each day is the person that I want to display. Not who my wife wants to display, not who my job wants to display, not who my parents wanted to display, but who I want to be and who I want to broadcast out to the world. Because, folks, we have a lot more control over our lives than we think we do. A lot more control. But a lot of us seem to let those other things that are out and around us, those stressors and those people who are pulling you in all these different directions, we let those people dictate what we are going to do and that image that we're going to put out there. And I really hope that a lot of you who are out there will take this time to do a reassessment. Especially, it was one of these things that really made me think about this a little bit more was the other day when we were having our conversation about what you would do for your children. I started to think about how much stress that would, cause, and how much stress I'm already getting, and my children aren't even close to college. And then I thought about what Dan Eichler was saying, because he's transitioning out of the military. And I was thinking about how stressful that could be for military members, because I remember how stressful it was for me. And I remember when I was getting out, having this feeling of not really knowing what was next. And it was tough to put a plan into place and know what was going to be next, simply because the person that I was for those preceding 4.5 years was not the same person that I could present to the civilian world. And it wasn't the same person that I could present to employers. It wasn't the same person that I could present to my family and my wife, because there's a different role that I would be playing as a non-military member. Now, I bring that up again because we all go through different transitions in our lives. And those transitions, again, they deviate from that pattern that we put into place. And when we have those deviations from those patterns that we put into place, sometimes our bodies don't react well to that. Sometimes our minds don't react well to that. So one of those things that you can do to combat that extra stress that's going to be coming back to you, making those transitions or facing a boss, is again a reassessment, a self-assessment of where you are at the moment. That reassessment gives you an opportunity to think about what your real needs are. And you can take inventory of the things in your life that you can get rid of because they're causing extra stress or don't need to be there with you in your life. And you can also take inventory of the special things and the special people that you have in your life, so that you have an opportunity to tell those people how special they are. And so you have an opportunity to show those people who you are. And then some of those people, even though we're talking about not letting other people influence who you really are, some of those people can help you to figure out who you really are, because they've been observing you and they've seen some of those things that you tend to do and the things that you tend to love and you tend to like, and they may be able to help you to understand how to move forward. But that ultimate decision on doing that inventory and taking account of the things that are good in your life, and then taking account of the things that are bad in your life, and then setting those goals for those next plateaus that you're going to reach. Because you've already reached a lot of great goals. And I want everybody out there to think about all the things that you've accomplished in your life. You don't have to climb Everest for it to be an accomplishment. If you get up every day and take care of your children, that is a damn good accomplishment. If you get up and take care of yourself each day, I'll commend you on that too. But folks, we have a lot more control over our lives than we think we do. And sometimes doing that inventory, it'll help to relieve some of that stress and give you an opportunity to take that control of your life. So I want to get off of my soapbox because I feel like I'm lecturing people now. But I hope that, again, we can start talking about some of these other topics that we have out there. I hope that we can start talking about some of the other things that are important to you and important to you in your life. Because I really want to find out some of those things that we can all do together or for each other to help each other. Now, folks, I realized that yesterday, because somebody pointed it out to me, that, of course, I did not do the driving dance. So I'm not going to do a dance today. But another good friend of mine was trying to get me to do a song the other day. Now, I want to try to keep this show to just topics and talking about these things, but I do want to have some fun here too. And I want to make sure that people are not only we're talking about things and trying to motivate each other and talking about those things that are important to each other. I also want you guys to have some fun. So I want you guys to also suggest some of the things that we can do to spice this thing up just a little bit. And keep in mind, the Facebook show that we're doing right now is not the full incarnation of what we're going to be doing, folks. Again, we're trying to prep, see what works, what doesn't work for our YouTube show. Okay? Don't forget about the Andrew Yang Challenge that I'm going to be putting out. Again, not endorsing any party or anything like that. I just find the concept of universal basic income very, very cool. But I will get back to what I was just saying. I'll try to stay focused. So I want to make it fun. So I was thinking of what I could do besides my dance, because I'm not good at dancing. And I figured, since a good friend said I should sing the other day, I will do a very, very, very quick verse of some song. But I was on YouTube earlier, and being from Pennsylvania, and I'm not saying that I'm country, but a bunch of my family members I'd consider them country. And of course, there's a little known secret that my mother loves country music. In fact, up until about 14, 15, I wasn't allowed to listen to any rap music. Guess what I was listening to? Country music. Country music! So I've got a great appreciation for country music. And the song that I'm going to do isn't a country music song, but I was looking at YouTube the other day and I saw this mashup of Billy Ray Cyrus and a new rap artist by the name of Little X. Little X? I want to say Little X. Okay, I'm not sure if you have heard the song that I'm referring to. It's something about I think it's called Old Country Road, something to that effect. But it kind of made me think that there's a bunch of other songs that aren't country songs that I could throw a little country twang onto and make them sound kind of cool. Now, I don't know if we have any Billy Ray Cyrus fans out there, Achy Breaky Heart, but I'm sure we have some Little X fans that are out there. So one of my favorite songs in the entire whole world is a song that Justin Timberlake remade for a concert that they were doing. There's some charity event, and the original song is by Leonard Cohen, and the song, of course, is called Hallelujah. It's one of my favorite songs. When I hear Hallelujah, it instantly makes me think of Medea. Hallelujah! It makes me think of my grandma. And then, of course, it makes me think of all those days in church, and both Catholic school and Baptist. And I just love the song. So if you've heard the original version, I would tell you to go take a listen to it. And of course, I'm gonna do just one verse of the country version. The country version. All right. I wish I had a cowboy hat. I'd put it on right now so that we can have the country version. So without further ado, here we go. And again, Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. And I'm only doing just much, just so I can do some country singing. Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor falls in a major less. The baffled king composed a hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. There you go. Country music. All right, guys. Again, I appreciate you being here with me. I hope you leave some comments. All of the opinions that I have expressed today are mine and mine alone. They don't express the government. They don't express my job. They are mine and mine alone. Folks, I love you. Put some items in that topic so we can talk about them, and have a great night. Bye, guys.